Hi, I will be talking about African American English or AAVE. Have you ever encountered some internet words like slay, bae, woke, and lit? These are actually AAVE words that are put into the internet and are popularized. These are not internet slangs, but AAVE words. African American Vernacular English was also called before as Negro English, Black English, and Ebonics. But because of its dark historical background, these terms were later labeled as a racial slur and therefore are rarely used today. So what is AAVE really? African American Vernacular English is defined as a group of dialects of English that developed among African American communities in the United States. It is very influential and have become a source of many slang expressions and idioms that are used in general American English and even international English. But take note, AAVE is not broken standard English. AAVE developed from contact between speakers of West African languages and their English-speaking slave masters, as well as indentured servants from Ireland and Great Britain. Although it has some Creole-like features, it is much closer to Standard English than Caribbean Creoles are. There are currently two prevalent theories of how AAVE came to be. First is the dialect divergence hypothesis. It explains that AAVE arose as a result of the slaves learning the dialectal English spoken by the indentured servants who were poor and oftentimes not proficient in Standard English. The second theory is the Creole origin hypothesis. It explains that AAVE developed as a Creole language but then converged with Standard English through a process of decreolization. Because of the rich history behind AAVE, it had later narrowed down and sprouted dialects and varieties of its own. Rural Mississippi speech, African Nova Scotian English, and the standard AAE or African American English are just some of the regional and social dialects of AAVE. While Gula, Afro-Seminole Creole in Florida, Texas, and Mexico are just some of the isolated contact and Creole varieties of AAVE. Now let's move on to the linguistic properties of AAVE. First is the lexicon. Stereotyping and stigmatization of urban slangs by non-AAE has contributed to the general devaluation of AAVE as a linguistic system throughout history. Also, the AAE lexicon is a greater unifying force than AAVE grammar itself. African etymologies are significantly smaller than Caribbean English Creoles. Discourse. The stereotypical prominence of uncensored speech as perceived by non-African Americans reflects not only their contemporary social power to censor, but the obsolescence of earlier rules of respectful interest in demeanor enforced on black people by white people. This has resulted in more frequent direct speech, including dissing, reading, and others. Also, loud talking involves direct address and manipulates volume to invoke an audience. Marking characterizes target through direct quotation, which may manipulate features of grammar, phonology, or pragmatics, while conversational signifying attributes personal characteristics of the target to culturally marked signs. African American English speech events resemble Caribbean ones, like buzzing or dropping remarks, or have Pan-African diaspora distribution. Syntax. AAVE grammar contrasted it with both SAE and CECs, or English dialects, focuses on the AAVE verb phrase and less on negation, nominal inflection, and pronoun selection. These are major questions that kept bugging the linguistics up to this day. The degree of structural independence of AAVE, evidence for AAVE's historical ancestry, and nature and significance of variation. The AAVE auxiliary system largely reflects general American English. Thirds, for example, third singular irregular forms are absent. For auxiliary be, this is formed as general to all persons, and numbers. Regularized simple past and present perfect verb forms. A few frequent strong verbs use stem forms with past meaning, but past marking is overwhelming. Lastly, question formation optionally involves inverting auxiliaries and modals. The AAVE sentential negator, ain't, appears for standard hasn't, haven't, or isn't, aren't. Now I've spent the majority of the video so far talking about AAVE, but I have yet to actually talk about what it sounds like or what makes it different than General American English. You've probably actually heard it before, but a lot of people just assume that it's just a series of mistakes and mispronunciations, when it's actually just as rule-based and internally consistent as General American. Phonologically, a couple big differences are that in AAVE, the TH, the, and the sounds change to t, f, d, or v, depending on the context. And also consonant clusters instead of a stop sound, as their sound are often simplified, but with the stop sound being dropped. So both of us think that we'll find the desk there would become something along the lines of both of us think that we'll find the desk there. These are the differences depending on the region, but those two are among the most widespread and I think the most noticeable. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.